and the main character was just totally insufferable. Because when I tell you the numbers, you're gonna be gagged. I really want to drink my coffee, but also need to hold my sticky note, and so it's on my mug. So I thought that a fun gift to myself next year, not this year, would be to try really hard to get through everything on my physical TBR and also catch up on all of the series I'm in the middle of, and also get through everything that I have just like permanently on hold in Libby, and kind of just like give myself a clean slate. And I know one way of doing that would be to just cancel all of my holds, donate all of my unread books, DNF all of the series I'm in the middle of, but there's like a bunch of really obvious reasons why I don't want to do that. One of them is that I love a lot of the series I'm currently reading and a lot of the universes I'm currently experiencing. So I thought today, in order to help me with that goal, we're gonna just talk through all of the series I'm in the middle of, and also all of the books on my physical TBR that I accidentally own that are parts of series that I just like didn't think through when I bought them. I didn't think when I bought them that I would have the goal of reading the entire series in a year. So there's going to be a lot of soul searching in this process, a lot of wondering if this is a realistic goal to set for myself. I have like 15 months to get it done. And it does not feel like enough time, because when I tell you the numbers, you're going to be gagged. Okay, so to start out, let's talk with some of the series that I'm not bringing into this challenge with me. I'm going to start with my soft DNFs. These are open to be talked back into. If I made a terrible mistake by putting these series down and y'all think that I need to read them, please let me know. They are in no particular order. The original Mistborn trilogy, I'll tell you why I didn't like this. Mostly I'm really upset because we don't actually learn the age of the character until like 60% of the way through the book. And by that point I was already super convinced that I could relate a lot to the character, that we were like a similar age, that I like remember telling my friends that I was so relieved to have finally found a series that isn't putting like literal teenagers, like preteens, in really dangerous situations. And then it did. And then it did. And I also have like some issues with the plot, but I think it was Brandon Sanderson's like first book ever. And so I think like I want to read more Brandon Sanderson, but I think the original Mistborn trilogy is just not for me. Okay, the next one, I kind of don't consider the next two DNFs. I kind of in my mind have completed everything that I feel like I need to read. So this is again your chance to tell me that I'm totally wrong and it's really worth reading these other books that are in these universes. The first of them is Little Women, and I kind of have said everything that I need to say about Little Women on this channel, I think. But mostly I really liked the first half of Little Women. I didn't like the second half as much. And so to me, I'm like, okay, I think I've got everything that I need to get out of this series, you know? The next one is Percy Jackson and the Last Olympians. I know that there's a couple of novellas and there's a new full-length novel that was released, but I kind of felt like the series fell off a little bit in quality to me, like the more that I read it. And I wanted to read the original 5 books, mostly for nostalgia, and because I was playing a lot of Hades 1 and 2 at the time, so I wanted to experience more of Greek mythology. So I feel like all those boxes are checked, and I don't feel a huge pull to pick up the novellas or the new novel. But let me know if I'm wrong. Okay, the other books that it would take so much convincing for me to actually pick these up. I'm kind of just gonna rapid fire them. The first is Vita Nostra. It's, I think, a pretty long series, and this was just crazy, like just a wild freak ride. It had great dark academia vibes and like really high stakes, and so you could like kind of understand the like motivations and why the characters were as driven as they were. And all of the academic scenes were so good. It had very good magic school vibes. But literally everything else about the book was just fucking crazy, dude. And it was like, it put me in such a bad reading slump. I don't know if I can deal with another like 3 books that are 500 plus pages in that universe. Another one is a graphic novel that I picked up recently. It's sketchy. It's about this like found family kind of thing. This group of women who live in Japan who later in their lives, like 30s plus, learn how to skateboard. That's not late in life, don't worry. But the book makes it seem like the craziest thing ever, such a huge deal that they're like older than 30 and learning how to skateboard for the first time. So it just like didn't pull me in, wasn't super compelling. Yeah. Okay, the next is Grand Vampire, which again is a graphic novel that I read recently, and I just didn't feel really connected to the character. I really wanted just like cute vampire romances, and I think that there's so much there, you know? Like vampires live forever, but none of the love interests were super interesting, and the main character was just totally insufferable. So I am kind of done with that as well. The next I bought for a book club because I thought that my mom and grandma would really like it. So I bought it for the 3 of us for Christmas like 2 years ago. That would be the Thursday Murder Club series by Richard Osman. There are a bunch of books in this series, I think 5, and I thought it was fine. It was a cute, good time, but I don't think I need to read like 4 more of them. The last one is a little contentious, I fear, but it is Bridgerton. I read 80% of the first Bridgerton book and then kind of just couldn't get through the end because of what happens to one of the characters at the 80% mark. And I feel like that was a mistake because I think the main character's name is Daphne. I think we all agree, everyone who's in the like Bridgertoniverse, thinks that she does not have the most interesting love story, and that the love stories of her brothers are a lot more interesting, which I could totally see. I was a super big fan of them as characters in the first book, but it was just like such a gross thing that happened that I was like, I think I'm done with this universe. Okay, so now I want to talk about the series that I'm actually in the middle of, that I've actually started, that I'm excited to like pick up the next book for. There's only 2 that I don't physically own. That's a lie. There's 3 that I don't physically own. The first one that I'll talk about is Lore Olympus. I've been going crazy about Lore Olympus my last like 3 videos. Feels like fan fiction in a good way is how I described it. Like being 12 and being super giddy about reading about characters that I love a lot. So I'm in the middle of book 8 in this 11 book graphic novel series, and I'm honestly getting a little nervous, guys. There's like a huge event that needs to get wrapped up, and there's 3.5 more books to do it in from where I'm at. And I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, I don't think any progress will be made in this book that I'm reading currently, which leaves 3 books to wrap up like kind of the main event. So I like, this kind of segues into this just not being a super well-written plot, but I'm kind of not here for the plot. I'm here for Hades and Persephone, and I think it's good enough to be here for that. Okay, so that's one of the ones that I don't own. The next 2 are, man, these are totally crazy. So one of them is A Dowry of Blood, which is a vampire, kind of just like a smutty little fun little vampire romance series. I read the first one when I was on vacation with a friend as a buddy read last November, I think. And I didn't know that there was a sequel until I was like watching other booktube videos and saw that there is not only a sequel, but another little novella that takes place in the same universe. And it was just like a fun, good time. So I feel like I would buddy read the second book with my friend again, just to kind of have, you know, completed that series. Okay, the last one is also super contentious that I'm still reading this because of how little fun I've been having with it, but it is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I would also like to read The Hobbit, but I probably won't read the Cimarron. I've never tried saying that word out loud before, but I have gotten through the first book and one of the two towers is how I describe it twice. I just have not cared that much about the Battle of Isengard, like at all. And I know as soon as I get through the Battle of Isengard that it's gonna pivot to Sam Frodo, and then I'm gonna be having a really good time. I don't know why I haven't been able to get through the first tower. Oh yeah, and there was a really great audiobook edition of Lord of the Rings that I was listening to, but it was copyrighted and taken off of the internet, and probably the people would get sued if it existed anywhere on the internet. I think it was called, when it was on Spotify, it was called Roads Go Ever On, and they just did a really good job with it. There's like, I just had a thought. I should figure out when Lord of the Rings becomes a public domain, probably when I'm like old and shriveled up, and then it'll totally defeat my goal of having finished this series by next year. But it would be good to know because I would like to listen to this whenever it does become public domain. So I really am also a little bit upset that audiobook production was taken off of the internet, but I do understand why. Now we're getting into the books that I physically own that are a part of my TBR, but that does remind me, I made a note to myself of how many books total I would have to read to finish every series I'm currently in the middle of, like have made progress on. It is 14 full-length books, 2 novellas, and 4 graphic novels, like 3.5 graphic novels, because I'm halfway through one of the Lore Olympus books. That's a lot. It's a lot, and we haven't even talked about the books, like if I read all of the series that are part of my physical TBR in some way, shape, or form. I really only own one book out of most of the series that I'm going to be talking about. Anyways, so of the 14 full-length novels, first we're going to talk about Before the Coffee Gets Cold series. I have read 3 books out of this series. I really liked the second one. If you haven't read it, this is about a like kind of magical realism cafe in Japan somewhere. I don't know where, but it has this like time traveling chair, and so you can come to the cafe. You can choose to go backwards or forwards in time. You can only do it one time, and the whole shtick is that you can't move from the chair and that you have to like drink your entire coffee before it gets cold. Otherwise you die and you stay permanently in that chair forever, which is super dramatic. But anyways, the cool thing about the second book is that you learn more about the people who work in the cafe, and there's a lot of development and just background about their lives. So it felt like a true continuation of the first book, and like maybe it could have ended there. It could have been done, but instead I read the third book, which was basically just exactly like the first book. Each book is split into 4 chapters, and each chapter is somebody coming to the cafe and deciding to time travel in this chair. And the first book is kind of just like 4 totally disconnected strangers, and some of them show up in later books, which is kind of cool. But the like compelling thing about the second book is that you have emotional ties to the people who are time traveling, and like you care about what's happening in the past, like out of just you didn't just meet this character. But book 1, you're just meeting all the characters. Book 3, just meeting all the characters, and so I fear that books 4, 5, and 6, yeah, there's 5. Books 4 and 5 are going to be exactly the same. And then also, there's going to be a book 6 later this year. So I've tried starting the first chapter of book 4 a couple of times and have just like put it down and walked away from it because I liked the second book so much that a part of me hopes that there's like redemption later on, and there's like kind of that every other book is good, you know? but book 4 isn't starting out very good. So I don't know. I'm afraid for this series. If you have gotten further in the series than I have, please let me know if it's just a bunch of random people, because if it is, it might be to the chopping block, to the graveyard with this guy. Okay, the next series we're going to be talking about, I have no idea, I have to look at the stack. Okay, this is a little duology. The first book is A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine, which is a pen name, and it's the coolest pen name I've ever heard of. But the sequel to A Memory Called Empire is A Desolation Called Peace. And I picked this up a little bit ago because I was thinking about picking up the sequel. So I was just like thumbing through it, and I was like kicking my feet, giggling, laughing, having such a good time going back through this book. And then I picked up the sequel, and I was just like, I forgot how intense reading this book was the first time that I read it. I've only read this once, but like when I read it originally, it's like a high stakes space opera. And you're following a, what's the word? Oh, she's an ambassador of like, okay, let me back up a little bit. So you're following the main character. Oh my God, why am I forgetting everything? What's her name? Mahit Dismare, but no. Yeah. Ambassador Mahit Dismare. Okay, let me pause again. This is getting crazy. But this is the kind of sci-fi book where you have to force yourself to read every word, every single word in the first like chapter. And then the rest of the book is really fun. But like even just like, okay, I'll read this paragraph to you and then you'll understand why. Because my brain also does the thing where I see complex made up sci-fi word and it goes until I get to the next word. But it's really worth, I mean, even if you want to listen to the first chapter on audiobook, there's too many words that are made up in this book to have a good time, because you'll be like, Ambassador travels back to the capital of the interstellar empire, right? Okay, so Ambassador Mahit Dismare travels to the capital of interstellar Tikalani Empire. So you just get through it, you know? But it's totally worth it once you get to the other side. Anyways, she travels to this Tikalani Empire to represent her nation, which is a planetless nation. They live aboard spaceships, which makes them exceptional pilots. And that's basically the main service that they offer to this like capital region, but like the main thing that like kind of keeps them existing in a way, which is like super grim. It is totally high stakes. So she's there to like make sure that her nation doesn't get like kind of nuked. There's like maybe a war that's going to happen, and I think she needs to like ensure the safety of her people, kind of thing. And also she's like, hey, maybe war is a bad idea. So there's all of that, but the really cool thing about this book is the way that, because institutional knowledge is like so important to the profession of flying a spaceship, this nation that Mahit Dismare is from has like come up with a really cool way of preserving memory. Basically, like they get downloads of their predecessors' memories, but it's like more than that. It's like some part of their predecessors' consciousness now exists within the same body as the like original person. So then they kind of become like two people. But we know when the book starts that Mahit's like memory, the like consciousness of her predecessor was corrupted. And so she needs to also kind of figure out what happened to him. It's really good. I liked it a lot, and I really want to pick up the sequel at some point. Okay, that's all I needed to say. The next book is maybe also technically a novella. This is the sequel. Hold on, I was supposed to pick up 2 books. It's this cute little duology called Days at the Murasakai Bookshop by Satoshi Satoshi Yagisawa. And I read the first book a while ago. I think I'm going to read the second book just in one sitting on the beach at some point, because how freaking fun would that be? And also, I need to, okay, this is just going to be me voiceovering clips of the covers, because you guys need to appreciate how many freaking cats are on the covers of these books. They're so cute. There's so many little details to take in, and that's kind of what the first book felt like, at least. I really hope that the second book is more like more relationship development happens in it. Yeah, I cared a lot about the characters and I want them to be happy. Okay, the next book, the sequel, was released I think in October of last year. This is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed, which is a young adult kind of like gothic horror kind of retelling of a fairy tale. It's based, I don't actually know if it's a fairy tale, but the Fairy King is like the story that it might be based on, if it's a real story. I was convinced reading this that it was just like some Grimm's fairy tale that like I hadn't made it to. I fear, however, I really like this book. I liked it enough to like have bought a special edition when I already owned a hardcover of like the not special edition, the standard edition, whatever. So I liked it enough to buy this when I saw it. It was a like pretty comfortable 5-star for me for a while, but like the more distance I get from it, the more I'm like, I think it was just like right place, right time, and I don't know if this is on my like perpetual 5-star shelf, but I still did really like it. I fear that she kind of said everything she needed to say in this book, and so I don't know what the hell the sequel is going to be about. So I've kind of been avoiding that, if I'm being totally honest, just because I fear it's going to be bad. But I really liked the first book, so I have no reason to think that. Okay. This is a duology by Octavia Butler called Earthseed. The first book is Parable of the Sower, and then we have something of the Talents, Bringer of the Talents, Parable of the Talents. I should have known that. I should have guessed that, but she definitely did not say everything that she needed to say in this book, except you'll notice that a lot of the series I have started are YA, which I don't like reading a lot of. And also there's particularly YA sci-fi. The cool thing that I thought about Parable of the Sower is that it's kind of one of the original YA dystopia. This isn't really sci-fi. There's no science. It's all fiction. But this is like one of the original YA dystopia books that kind of like spearheaded the genre, which I think is just amazing, and I really want to read more of Octavia Butler, so I will read the sequel. But I feel like this year I might be like inundated with like YA series, because I also really wanted to read the like Percy Jackson and the Last Olympian series, which I had a good time with, but now I'm like, maybe I should have just like picked that up at a different time. Okay. This is my copy of Little Women. I forgot to hold it up when I was talking about it, but it was really important to me that I got a very cute cover. And I feel like I did. I don't remember where I got this from. I've been generally super stoked with the Union Square Press editions that I have. I have a couple of Virginia Woolfs that were published by Union Square Press. Okay, the next little duology, YA duology that I have read the first book of is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. What is the sequel called? Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the Deep. Nope. Aristotle and Dante Dive... Oh, I was like... That was really hard to read. Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World. I didn't know that there was a sequel to this when I picked this up. Same with A Memory Called Empire. I was so excited the whole time I was reading it, because I'm like, wow, a standalone sci-fi. You never get that. This is just an amazing standalone piece of fiction. Joke's on me. But joke is also on me about Aristotle and Dante. And kind of I feel similarly to this as I do A Study in Drowning. I liked this so much. This book was also pretty comfortably 5 stars for me for a while. And when people would ask me what my favorite book was, I would like often recommend this one because I try to recommend books to people that I think that they'll enjoy no matter where they're coming from, kind of thing. And I think Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe accomplished a lot in it that just like, it left my heart feeling full in a really good way. And like, when I recommend people books who aren't readers, I want their first experience to be good. And so I thought that Aristotle and Dante could accomplish that. Okay, I honestly don't remember where I left off because Eli needed to be let in because he gets anxious when he hears me talking to an empty room. I don't get it, but I hit stop record instead of start record when I came back. So I've been yapping for like 5 minutes to an empty room. Okay, anyways, Aristotle and Dante was really good. I really need the sequel to be good, and I think it's because I have some fear that if it's not good, then my recommendations to all of these people is just like null. Like, you know. But also, I loved the first book so much. So I'm like, I love the first book so much. I like really want to experience the 5-star feeling again with the second book. So I'm just psyching myself out about it. But you want to know what series I didn't feel that way about? The House in the Cerulean Sea. I read the first book, pretty much immediately picked up the second book. Like, there's maybe a month wait in between me reading the 2 books, and I loved it. I felt like the second book delivered just as much as the first one did. I really enjoyed both of them, and I went into it feeling like super nervy because everyone and their mom on Storygraph was like, why is the second book so much worse? I feel like it like didn't need to happen. They like wrapped up everything in the first book. It talked too much about one of the characters and not the other characters, but I had a great time reading this. I don't know. I'll talk more about the books that I have actually like completed, like the series that I've completed, in literally just a second. But does anyone else get like this when they like pick up accidental duologies, or like when you think a book is a standalone and then it publishes more books in the series? I don't know. I feel like the feeling is different when I go in expecting a series, you know? I actually think that that is all of my in progress, except at the bottom of this stack is my Becky Chambers The Wayfarer series books. I have read the first 2, started the third one, and there was just like too much happening in the third one. I needed to like take a break for my brain to acclimatize, you know, to be feeling like I had enough energy to understand what was happening in the third book, and I feel like I'm there. So there are 2 full-length novels and a novella left in that universe. There's like the 2 novels left in the series, and then a novella was published later. But do you want to know something crazy I found out when I was researching for this video today? Becky Chambers is releasing a new duology, and she's releasing the first book of it October 13th of this year. Maybe this is another like recession indicator though, because Miss Becky Chambers has not published in like a while. One of the series that I recently completed, I think, was her most recent work, and it's the Monk and Robot, little tiny little bite-sized duology. Super highly recommend this if you have been curious about any works that take place in a utopia. Hold on, now I need to know. I feel like she might have done this in like 2019, so you know, maybe not recession indicator, but she hasn't written another space novel since the Wayfarer series, which was published like a bit ago. Oh, 2021. But I'm so stoked for her new book to, oh yeah, what I was talking about. I'm stoked for her new book to come out. But I recently finished Monk and Robot, and I loved it. They're so teeny tiny little itty bitty bite-sized books that you could get through them in like a couple of sittings for both of them, like 2 or 3. But it was just a really light read, and society has kind of fixed itself, but like the humans are still humaning and like feeling really complex emotions, and like have like the main character is just like really struggling to figure out who they are and who they want to be, you know? But the beautiful thing about Monk and Robot is that there's space for them to figure this out in this society, because people just like care so deeply about other people, even if they're strangers. Just novel concept. So I super loved that. Another series that I finished somewhat recently is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Look at this cutie little thing. So I listened to this when I was sick with the flu, like months ago. But that was a great way to experience Alice in Wonderland. It was just like so fun. It felt like being read a bedtime story. I kind of was being read a bedtime story in a way. And I just had a really great time with it. I felt like even as an adult, it was totally worth reading, and just like it was cool to read the source material because the movies meant a lot to me as like a preteen teenager. Okay, the next series that I've completed is another teeny tiny little bite-sized itty bitty duology called Persons Non Grata. I think that this isn't like, put a stamp on it, tie a bow on it, completed, but this is by Cassandra Khaw. She has also wrote The Salt Grows Heavy and has another recent novel that came out that I have not read. But this is an author who I really wanted to read the entire backlist of. I loved The Salt Grows Heavy so, so much. So I ended up picking up Persons Non Grata, and I did not like it quite as much as The Salt Grows Heavy, but like honestly, the bar is like on the freaking moon. It's just that it was done so well. But in Persons Non Grata was also done well. It's just they're very different from The Salt Grows Heavy, and also very different from each other. They're more like two interconnected standalones, but they both feature this like private investigator guy, and in one of them he has like a much bigger role than the other one. So there isn't like the strongest continuity between the two books, and one of them I felt like had like a much stronger like social commentary, a much stronger message than the other, but they were both like just like a creepy, freaky little tale, We have chatted thus far about my DNFs, my soft DNFs, the series that I'm in the middle of, the series that I have recently completed, and what's left is the books that I own the first book of this series. And before I told you that I had 14 full-length novels, 2 novellas, and 4 graphic novels to read if I wanted to complete my goal of like getting through my physical TBR and getting through my Libby Holds, the series that I'm in the middle of, as like a nice gift to myself to like start my 27th year on this planet with a clean slate. Kind of because 27 is my favorite number. Is that weird that I'm doing all of this? Because I think it's really going to be my year, and I'm not even 26 yet. Yeah, I get frustrated by myself too. Anyways, so if I run that same tabulation, and just like tally up the total number of books that I would need to complete in order to reach that goal, it becomes 45 full-length novels, 2 novellas, and 4 graphic novels, which is a lot. That's like, if we think about it together, if we sit down right now and like think about that, let's consider how many books I read in a year on average. Honestly, for the last couple of years, less than 100, less than 50 probably. This year I'm doing really good. I'm on pace to get to like ish 100. My reading this year has been super weird because of everything that's happening with like my post-concussion syndrome stuff. But do I think that I could read 45 books? Like, I think I can read 45 books, can and will read 45 books, let's just say that. But the other issue is that if I'm not in the mood for some of these, I'm gonna hate reading them, and I'm gonna hate the feeling of like kind of forcing myself to get through them. Excuse me. That's kind of the whole thought. I don't know. There's kind of like nothing else to say to that except I'm nervous. I'm nervous and just wanted to share that with you. Creating safe spaces. So anyways, let's talk through the books that are on my physical TBR that I would need to like complete the entire series of and have not started yet. The first you probably recognize by the spine. It is the Poppy War trilogy by Miss R.F. Kuang. I'm really hoping that before my 27th birthday, she publishes another book. is it crazy that I'm just like kind of writing off my 26th year? It's like, it's not that I don't think that good things will happen. It's just kind of like a filler episode. I don't know. We'll go on this journey together. You will be there with me in my 26th year. Don't you worry. But yeah, I don't know. 27 just feels awesome for some reason. Anyways, I'm really hoping she publishes another book, but if I read this trilogy, I will have read every full-length novel that R.F. Kuang has written, and that feels like an awesome accomplishment. So I really want to get to this, but I don't know if I'm in the mood for like a war novel. Let me let Eli out. He's decided he's had enough of me. Also, whenever I pick this up, I thrifted this. I did not buy this for full price. I just need to brag. So eventually I will get to the Poppy War, but R.F. Kuang, she's kind of dark, man. She's kind of dark, and I just don't know if I can cope right now. Okay, so this has been a long enough video. Let's just start rapid firing. This is a part of, I think it's called Greentown. It's a duology called Greentown by Ray Bradbury. This is Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is technically the second book, but I think they work as like loosely interconnected semi-autobiographical standalones. Too many words to describe two books, but the first book is Dandelion Wine, I believe. So I think I have the go-ahead to just read this before reading the first book. I don't think that it will ruin the experience of Dandelion Wine for me, and I don't think I'll be missing out on any context. But this book I also thrifted and just need to start. So there are 3 books in the Poppy War trilogy. There are 2 books in the Something Wicked This Way Comes duology. And then we have Red Rising, which has 6 full-length young adult novels published. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, you guys. I have honestly tried reading... Okay, me starting out this video talking about how much I didn't like Mistborn because I felt like I got, and like, why are we asking 12-year-olds to like solve the world's problems? And also like, there's a lot of like traditional values and like male martyrdom in the first like 50 pages of this book, and it just, ugh. But I heard that the first book is the worst book, and there is a book 7, which will be the last book in the series, coming out later this year. And like, listen, even if I am not the happiest with the series in general, I love being a part of the conversation. And so maybe I can just get myself to, that would be crazy. What if I did like a book a day for 7 days, and on the 7th day, I read the last book in the series? That sounds like torture, actually. Like, if I don't like it, I think I'll go insane. Scratch that, we're not doing that, but I will at least read all of this. And the second book better be good. If y'all are lying and it's actually bad, I'm gonna be really upset. Okay. The next is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou, which I believe actually is a part of a 6-book autobiography series that Maya Angelou published. Maya Angelou published. Angelou sounds better. It sounds like what my ears have heard before. So I don't think I need to read every book in the Maya Angelou biography series. But if I did, I will have read all of them. And that's kind of the point of this video. The next one is 6 Chonkers. Is it 6? I think it's only 5 right now. Is it 5? I don't actually know. 5 published books in the series, but George R.R. Martin is still working on this. It's not finished yet. This is A Song of Ice and Fire, the Game of Thrones series. And I bought this to buddy read with a friend because neither of us have seen a single episode of the Game of Thrones, and we thought it would be fun to buddy read together, but it's been like a year and we haven't started it yet. So that one will be fun, but it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot. And then we have the 5th season trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I am so freaking excited to read. I actually might pick, whenever my eyeballs are healed and I could like sit down and read a book, this might be the first book that I sit down and read. Every book in the trilogy, I think like, I don't know if it's like each book individually or like the series won a Hugo, one of the two won a Hugo, which is the sci-fi, like the big sci-fi prize that happens every year at Worldcon, which is being hosted in the US this year. And I'm like, what if I go? Would that be totally crazy? Has anyone ever gone to Worldcon, and is it fun? I feel like sci-fi isn't my primary genre enough for me to go, but I could like meet Becky Chambers, which would be crazy. That would be so fun. I would really enjoy that. I don't know. I'll think about it. It's in LA, which is very far away from me, but it would be fun to do an LA trip with my like bookish friends. One of my book friends is from LA, so maybe we could just stay in her parents' house. That would be really nice. Okay, anyways, I heard that there's pirates in this book, and I think I'm really gonna like it. So super excited for that. I'm losing the plot because I'm getting tired. Okay, these are the last two books I need to talk about. The Killing Moon duology, again by N.K. Jemisin. I really wanted to read the Broken Earth trilogy, picked it up, started reading it, got way too overwhelmed by like how good the writing was, but like kind of like it was way too on the nose. There's a lot of like, it talks a lot about the treatment of women, and it's so bad. Like the writing is so good, but like the way that I felt reading it as a woman, I was reading it shortly after Roe v. Wade was overturned, shortly after reading The Handmaid's Tale, and was just kind of like gutted, already gutted before I picked this up. So just like in a really fragile place and had to put it down, but really wanted to read some of N.K. Jemisin because this is some of the best writing I think I've ever read. And so picked up The Killing Moon, and then just got in a reading slump for some reason and never got past the first chapter. So this is a little bitty duology that I need to read at some point. And then we have the beloved trilogy. I really want to read this too. There's so many books that I want to read, but want to like read with my hands and eyeballs. And I just can't right now. So if you have enjoyed the audiobook adaptation of any of the books that I talked about today, please, please, please let me know because I'm in such a pinch right now. I just read Flesh by David Saloy because one of my coworkers said that the audiobook adaptation was really good, and I think it was a good adaptation. It was a book. I feel, I mean, honestly, I think it was like 4 point something stars for me. Like it was like a little bit above a 4-star, but like I get why it's getting as much criticism as it had. Anyways, if this has a good audiobook adaptation, please go crazy in the comments because I want to read it so bad. This is just like one of the gothic fiction books that I haven't gotten to yet. I'm dying to read it. So yeah, those are the 45 books that I need to get through in order to achieve my goal of getting through everything on my physical TBR, getting caught up in all of the series that I'm in the middle of, and getting through everything that's on Libby. I actually didn't check Libby to see if I have any series that are on hold on it right now. And like really my thing with Libby is like The Wager, was it David Graham who wrote that? I think so. That has been on hold and like something that I have been wanting to read for probably 8 months. And I just haven't gotten to it. So this is me getting to those things, but I can like take things off of hold on Libby if I don't actually want to get to them, but I would like to get to the books that I have been having on hold for a long time. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. Okay, let me know what series you're in the middle of. Let me know if you have read any of these, if they're worth reading, if there's anything that I need to resurrect from the graveyard, if there's anything that I missed, if you're coming here from my bookshelf tour video. I think I didn't, and I hope that I didn't, because 45 full-length novels, 2 novellas, and 4 graphic novels is crazy. That's crazy. I think I might end up DNFing some of these. And then my other option, of course, is to donate some of the books and series that I own that I have not started yet, but I very clearly do not think I'm going to be doing that with any of these. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.